And yo, we are back. The Sports Back Bros podcast is coming off of a weekend of plenty of sports. If you just like basketball and the NFL Combine leading to the NFL Draft next month, that's what we're going to talk about today. Probably a whole lot more that comes in, but in the beginning, yeah, we can get to that.
Yeah, I just want to start off as a Bears fan. I'm disappointed. No news of a Justin Fields trade yet. So, that situation's still in limbo. Free agency coming up. Once free agency starts, I think the price is even going to get lower for Justin Fields.
I'm thinking that something like that comes during the draft. That's a draft day trade probably waiting to happen. And you know what? People get desperate around draft time, and people are willing to throw a little bit more in there on draft day. So I can see that being one of the cases with Justin Fields. Someone, I don't know if they're going to, I can't really gauge where he should go. Is he worth another first rounder? I don't think that's the case. It's going to have to be him and a couple of other picks to kind of justify if anything goes in the first round, even if it's in the middle of the first round.
Yeah, it just makes you wonder, like, for all the people who love Justin Fields and think he's getting treated unfairly and that he just needs weapons and it was Luke Getsy's fault and all of that, why aren't people pounding down the Bears' door for Justin Fields?
You know what? You're a Bears fan, so you see a lot more than the average fan around the country might see, from the outside looking in. It's almost always like that with any team. I have a friend of mine who knows his football as well. I was just talking to him yesterday. He's a Miami Dolphins fan. He was like, yo, bro, they should give Fields this fourth year. Like, it's a matter of fact. I'm like, damn. I'm like, yo, bro, you listen to the show. He does listen to the show, just that he travels a lot, so he's not always in the United States. But, I was like, yo, bro, Bias is he's a Bears fan because he knows he's a Bears fan because he's seen shows before. But he was like, yo, but I told him Bias thinks that he should go. I think going into this season, you said, yo, this gotta be his make or break year. And well, he broke. He didn't do anything. He didn't make it. So he's saying that, man, I don't know why everybody's on top of him like that, man. Because from the outside looking in, he's pretty much saying, give him a fourth year. I think they can put people around him. He's that dynamic a player. And then he's like, yo, man, he's not that far from what Lamar Jackson is. I'm like, I don't know what you're seeing in that capacity, but he's had his moments, but I think he had too many bad moments. And right now, it just happens to be with these quarterbacks that are available, and some claiming that Caleb Williams may be a generational talent, which I don't believe, but that's just me and probably a couple other people.
I don't believe it either.
Yeah, but you got to make your move. There's enough decent quarterbacks in this draft right here for you to at least get one of those quarterbacks, and you got to make a decision that forces you to make a decision with Justin Fields.
Right, and I mentioned it last Thursday. Last year they passed on Bryce Young and C.J. Stroud, and now they have Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, Drake May, and people are talking to J.J. McCarthy now. And they said Penix did really well at the Combine, that he threw the ball better than anybody else, so he helped his draft stock. Not that he's going to be in the top 10, but after that championship game, people had a lot of questions. And I think maybe he worked hard to answer those questions. So how do you justify having the number one pick 2 years in a row and having all these guys available and you're not taking one of them? And you're putting all your eggs in Justin Fields. And we did it last year. Didn't work out this year. So I don't think we should do it again.
Man, I've seen Justin Fields and I saw, where he looks okay. Then he looks like he may have something, that he may get injured and misses a couple of games. Man, for some reason, I just think that, man, just that one more year. But that's me on the outside. These Bears fans are frustrated. They know how their quarterback situation has been for so long. And you see these quarterbacks out there that could be the answer, and even more pressure brought on because of the way C.J. Stroud did play last season as a rookie. It puts pressure on you to make a move for one of those quarterbacks and try to get your own, or Justin Fields, bring someone in, see what he does. And you may have one of those Phillip Rivers, Drew Brees scenarios where you had two top quarterbacks on your roster. You took the younger guy and shipped the other guy out, got some pieces for that.
Yeah. And I saw the numbers. I don't remember the numbers, but I've spoken about it often. In the fourth quarter, or when the Bears needed a game-winning drive, not even a touchdown or a field goal, he's turned the ball over way too much. And what I saw is over the last 3 years, he's been the worst fourth quarter quarterback. And I believe it. His completion percentage is like in the low 50s. His turnovers he's got like 9 turnovers. And that's what I always say. It's either an interception, a strip sack, or a fumble. He finds different ways to give the other team the ball late in games.
Has he been injured quite a bit or enough to where the sample size might be smaller? Because we can say right now he's the worst in the fourth quarter, but he hasn't gotten into too many fourth quarters. It may be skewed a bit for the times that he might have gotten into the fourth quarters. If he got into the fourth quarter 10 times when he had an opportunity to get in there 25 times, that number of him screwing up probably is going to get skewed a bit. But at the same time, you can say he could have done better because of the smaller sample size.
Well, let's just put it this way. 2 years ago, 2 seasons ago, the Bears were tanking. They had traded Khalil Mack and the other defensive end, and they were tanking, but they're keeping games close. And late in games, Bears had the ball. I'm like, oh, come on, Justin. We're trying to get the number 1 pick. Don't do it. Don't do it. Of course I want them to win, but I want the number 1 pick also. And I didn't have to worry about it. He gave the ball away. He has had fourth quarter opportunities to win games.
Well,
most times he has not come through.
It's the same situation with the Jets, man. When I wanted them to finally tank for Trevor Lawrence, and we ended with Zach Wilson. Come on, that's just how it turned out. But yeah, you mentioned the NFL draft, and one of these players that I looked at a list and it said they were ascending quarterback-wise was J.J. McCarthy coming out of Michigan. I watched him for the past couple of years, and I thought his passing game, the way he passed the ball, was good. I think watching him from the eyeball test was a little bit of a regression with his passing last season. I always knew he was an athlete, but he didn't go through any of the other drills. I heard he just threw the ball and threw the ball well. He didn't run because I think we know about his speed already. I mean, he's not Lamar Jackson, but this guy got speed. He can get out to the outside. He can do things with his legs. But I think he really has to get it down that he can throw the ball. And I know some people was kind of talking about Julian Edelman, and I thought about that. Well, he could probably wide receiver. But based on the way they said he threw the ball, well, that's probably out of the question. They're going to give him a chance at quarterback, but he's not making his way into the first round. I don't think he'll make his way into the second round. A third round pick might be good.
Some people are talking top 10.
Top 10. J.J. McCarthy. I've been about you all year and last year. I like the guy. But, man, I didn't see top 10 pick. I didn't see first round pick as a quarterback.
I've heard talk. I've seen videos on YouTube. Yeah. My concern would be is he didn't throw the ball a lot last season. He had one game, only 8 passes. I don't think he even averaged 15 passes per game. So how do you really know? They didn't have to. They had a dominant run game. So why I can't blame Harbaugh or who was calling the plays while Harbaugh was out. You have a dominant run game. You don't have to pass. Why call the passing play? Just keep pounding it.
There was times he didn't run when he should have. I think he had the athleticism. He damn sure has the speed. But you know what? I remember throughout the season last season, Kurt Herbstreit kept bringing it up. And it's not because he's an Ohio State alumnus, but I think he was bringing it up as a matter of fact, talking about how things weren't looking so great for J.J. McCarthy towards the end of the season. He started off well against the bad teams, and, he started looking okay when the teams got better. But then there was a stretch where he just wasn't looking good as a passer, and he wasn't really the reason why they were winning passing the ball. That's probably why they were running more, and they were able to run more. But so there was questions about that. And then we look at the national championship game. Was it really his arm? I mean, you had that dominant running game again in the beginning of the game against Alabama. He had that dominant running game. He didn't necessarily rely on his arm a lot. And there was times, even as a non-Michigan fan, but someone who thought Michigan might win, you kind of hold your breath a bit when he had a chance to throw the ball when there was something on the line. I was like, man, I hope he doesn't screw it up. And with top quarterbacks, you don't get that feeling.
Right. I'm just telling you, there's been a lot of talk about J.J. McCarthy moving up.
Man.
I don't know who else in the top 10 needs quarterbacks. That would be probably the main issue.
Yeah.
But you got the Raiders. You have the Raiders at 13.
They need a quarterback every year. I mean, and with PED Joe, we know he's not going to be around too much long. What's his name? Garoppolo. He's not going to be around too much longer anyways. But as far as the draft goes, and I hate that it happens all the time. I've said it so many times. How you watch a guy's video, you see him from either high school, go through the college ranks, dominate or not dominate, and then all of a sudden you see a player just come through the draft or the combine, puts up ridiculous numbers. Now he's in the forefront. Now they're talking about going in the first round that he wasn't even thought about before. I mean, even Fisk from Florida State, well, he might have been a second-day draft pick. Now they're talking about in the first round and probably the first half of the first round because he had such a ridiculous ridiculous performance at the combine. And those things just blow my mind all the time. Mitch Trubisky was another one of those guys. We watched him play in college. He was good, but next thing you know, they're talking about top 5 pick, top 10 pick. I'm like, from what I saw, I didn't think he was a top 10 pick. And then now you see all these other dudes just coming out of nowhere. That Isaac Garendo from Louisville, big dude, 220 pounds, ran I think a 4.33, bro. I mean that's playing. I mean seriously. And Xavier, for a guy, he ran 4.33. He was close to that, whatever. But he was blazing. But then you look at the rest of the season, you're like, wait a minute, I didn't hear his name a lot. And the times I watched him, he wasn't necessarily special. Well, he did good against Miami, but he wouldn't be the first one. But he's only had 2 100+ yard games in last season with Louisville, who went 11-4, 12-4. So I mean, so it's these guys just show up, and I've seen it so much in the past. How these guys that are relatively obscure, not that Louisville's an obscure team, but he comes in, and all of a sudden they're talking about him being a game changer. He catches a little bit out of the backfield, but didn't get a touchdown last season, even though he averaged over 10 yards per reception. There was a kid years ago, Joe Asker. They called him Crazy Joe. This is back when the blue-gray game was around. Dave T. Thomas, who used to write the Poor Man's Guide to the NFL draft. That dude was like an absolute genius. People knew about him. And I ended up being friends with him. It was a crazy story. Get to it another day. But he was one of the guys who made the selection of the players who got into the blue-gray game. Well, Joe Asker was blind in one eye because of some shooting accident down in the Virgin Islands when he was young. And he was 230 pounds. He had like the Division II record in 55 meters. Dude's just blazing fast. And Dave T was so much on top of this guy. From Central Oklahoma, he gets into the NFL, goes to the Raiders. They take him in the 3rd round. The dude can hardly fall forward. He can't do anything. He backs up Napoleon Kaufman. Napoleon goes down because he got injured quite a bit. He gets in and plays, still can't play. Is out of the NFL, goes to the XFL, and it just goes back to show you all of this damn speed, this size, everything that seems quintessential, and he doesn't do it. This is what's happening with this draft here. Isaac Garendo is one of them, and I'm sure there are other players.
I think the 40-yard dash, how they do it, is pretty silly anyway. How many times are D linemen and O linemen going to run 40 yards?
Well, them it is, yeah, I agree.
Why make them run a 40-yard dash? I can see maybe a 12 or 15-yard dash. That makes more sense. And then for wide receivers and running backs, the tight ends, why have them line up in the 3-point stance? They never line up in a 3-point stance. Have them line up in their normal football stance.
Well,
how many times do they run in a straight line 40 yards anyway, unless they're going to the house?
Exactly, but I guess that's how they look at it. And for them,
you know what I'm saying, but people can work to getting off to good starts and improving their time, and that may not translate to the football field. There's such a thing as track speed and football speed.
And we know it doesn't. We've seen this so many times before.
That's why I say it's pretty silly how they act.
Years and years and decades of this kind of thing we've seen for years. John Ross, whose record was just broken at this combine for his 40-yard dash time of 4.22. The dude's not even in the NFL anymore. Never really made a big play his entire time in the NFL. I mean, he's just another example. That's my point,
because everybody's saying, "Ooh, Xavier Worth, 4.22." Yeah, that's great, but did he perform on the football field at the same level as Harrison Jr. and Neighbors and the Doomsday?
See, you know what? But when he got his number, I knew he was fast, but I didn't think he was that fast. Come on, who knew that going in? He's a California kid who ends up in Texas, and at Texas, you had your quarterback situation where Quinn Ewers doesn't throw really well. I mean, he could actually throw the ball down the field, but I don't think his arm is as strong as people were saying coming out of high school. I watched the games. And then anyways, with Worthy, the difference is when you look at his numbers look like he is an explosive player. He just needs the quarterback that's going to give him the ball consistently in stride, and he will probably do even better because he was a freshman All-American, and he had all those damn touchdowns in his true freshman year. So this guy has the speed, but I was still shocked when he hit that.
I'm just saying, does that 4.22 move him into a top 5 pick?
Oh, I can see based on what he's done the past couple of years at Texas, and thinking about when you project, because this is all about projections. Okay, how would he do with our professional? And depending on that team, what happens if he just goes to our Cincinnati Bengals with Joe Burrow throwing him the ball or Josh Allen throwing him the ball? You know what? Kansas City's picking late, and he's not going to last that long. But just imagine the team, Tua, have him and Tyreek Hill. Bro, that's insane. You know what I mean? So if he ends up going in one of those teams and you just project as a coach, I would like to see him catch balls from our guy, and he's going to really be able to show his speed. That's a different story. Yeah, but I think he did show enough playmaking ability, but nothing to lead me to believe he'd be the fastest guy at 4.21. And going back a little bit to John, when we talk about John Ross, when he came out, he ran a 4.22. This record he broke Chris Johnson's record, who used to play, as we know, from East Carolina. And there's a guy, I don't know if you know about him, named Christian Coleman. He's a track runner. He's not a football player, but a track runner from Tennessee. Because the big buzz at the time when John Ross ran his 40, he just automatically assumed he's the fastest guy on the planet now. He challenged Usain Bolt and all that nonsense. Well, Christian Coleman goes out and runs the 40 at Tennessee, electronic time, the same way you run at the combine on turf. He ran a 4.12 and shut it up right there. And that's now funny. He's looked at as an Olympic hopeful. I mean, and the 55, bro, this dude is insane. 55 and the 60, you can't do anything with him. Now let's see what he does in the 100 meters, because that is outdoors for the Olympics. But I just thought that 4.12 on record, official, God. But he's a track dude. He's not even claiming to be a football player.
Speaking of Coleman, what about Keon Coleman? I wasn't impressed with him anyway. Really? But he ran a 4.6 something.
Bro, you know what? At Florida State, I was pretty impressed with what he was able to do, because
he didn't do much when we were there.
They win in a lot of cases.
He didn't do much when we were there.
Oh no, not then. not then, man. But I mean, throughout the season, I was like, bro, because remember, he did transfer from Michigan State, whose talent pool wasn't that great to begin with. They just ended up getting pounded, and the coach was leaving. They continued to get pounded. But
I'm saying his 4.6 time, that seems pretty slow.
No, that's bro. For me, see what the
tight ends running in the 4.6s.
See, the player I feel bad about, and I've been on top of this player all in the regular season, and even going into the combine, and regardless of his 40 time, I'm still on the bandwagon. That Cody Schrader from Missouri ran a 4.61, and then he hurt his hamstring on the second one, so he couldn't participate in anything else. This is one of those examples of look at what you saw on film. Now, he's going to end up being one of the best value picks for all these guys who are rising because of their 40 time and just their little setup because they practice these drills over and over at their hit center. He's still going to be the guy when they do draft him, even with running backs being as devalued as they are. You can get him now in the third round. Or if somebody's smart, you still get him in the second round. I still think you're getting damn first round value, even though running backs are no longer first round value guys. So, yeah, he just had a bad time, 4.61. Terrible. He'll have a pro day, I'm sure, and try to do better. But regardless of the numbers, that guy's going to play in the NFL and do some work.
Did you see Christian McCaffrey's brother Luke ran faster than he did?
No, I didn't see that.
Yeah, I know about Luke because he was a former quarterback from Nebraska. I didn't see the official time, but I saw the headline: Luke McCaffrey beats his brother Christian's time.
Yeah,
Christian McCaffrey's fast.
Yeah, bro. I watched him at Stanford, and I remember that little tidbit his mom said. We just wanted to have fast white kids. You know, it was a joke, but people, of course, took it the wrong freaking way. That's why I married her husband, you know, Ed McCaffrey, her husband. And I remember him at Stanford before he went to the Giants and then became a star with Denver. You know, but I'm not surprised about that family. Man.
Yeah, Luke's built more like Ed is than Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah, and
a little bit taller.
Yeah, because Ed McCaffrey, man, he was pretty doggone built, man. I mean, he was like ripped up and tall and slim and low body fat and the whole deal. And right. Christian just became a little shorter compact, but he also won the freaking 100 meters, I believe, in his state of Colorado coming through high school. Christian McCaffrey.
I remember.
Yeah, bro's legit. And we've seen how legit he is now, or not. But yeah, man, this is what the combine does. It brings these kinds of players and it gives them the forefront, and they get to show what they can do or lack thereof. Your stock is going to drop or it's going to rise based on a workout, as if the video almost matters, but not quite, because you need this to complete it.
Yeah, it was funny. I'm trying to remember. Someone said, stop using me. You know how they do the simulcast side by side?
Yeah.
He's like, stop using me. And they used him against two guys. He came in second. And they're like, see, so they could have put two faster guys, but they did a slower guy. He lost by one step to the fast guy, and he beat the other guy by like 3 steps.
Man.
But I thought it was funny because there's somebody out there, I can't remember. They use his 40 every year, and they compare others to him. He's not running a 4.25 though. It's just like an average speed, like a 4.42 or something.
Hey, they have access. They have the rights to the film, so you know they're going to keep using it. So someone saying, please don't do it again, isn't going to be enough for them to stop. In fact, that's the reason why they'll continue. You know,
I saw a video of they had Rich Eisen running. And
I remember that. With his shoes on, man.
They gave him like a 3.5 second head start. And then they show Xavier Worth, he passed him up.
Bro, you talking about a world-class athlete going against my man with his freaking dress shoes on.
Yeah, why did he run with his sport coat on and everything?
It's a freaking, it's a joke. It gotta be. Women got a sport coat with dress shoes on, running 40-yard dashes, and you put them against world-class athletes dressed up in all of the gear. They're not even going to play football in tights and or track flats.
That's like when they have people give people like a half-mile head start on a horse or something. That ain't gonna matter. Come on.
That's what they had Jesse Owens racing horses back in the day. Like, oh, bro, you see how fast he really is. Come on. Yeah, but I'm pretty stoked about the draft and what it's going to look like because of these guys that are in it. We get a chance to see a little bit more of it. And Michael Penix, I still think he'll be a good pick later in the first round because of those questions that may come up about his injury past.
They say his medicals were good.
You know what? Exactly. Good. We'll see how people say that a lot. Oh, everything's fine. Draft day, you start dropping, and you're like, I wonder if that's injury again. He said everything was fine. This is when the gamesmanship starts. But there's McCarthy. He says that 10 other teams have gotten in touch with him about, getting pro days and all that kind of stuff going. So, yeah, he might be a hot commodity. I don't think it's a smokescreen, but I think if they're talking top 10 pick, bro, I don't know where the hell that's coming from. But once again, I'm not making picks.
That's not my evaluation. That's just what I've heard.
Yeah, because if real scouts believe that, man, this guy's in the top. I didn't think he was a first round dude, but as a quarterback, I thought he'll be a wide receiver. If he went like the third round, that'd be a good pick as a wide receiver because he's that good an athlete. But if he threw that well, how well do you really throw? Because you're doing it against pretty much no one. You're just kind of showing your arm strength. And they're taking you to the whiteboard now since there's no chalkboard, and you probably know what you're supposed to do. But processing that information in game time, that's a whole different animal.
I was trying to get into the heads of scouts and GMs. I was watching some of the combine, and I don't remember what quarterback I was watching, but he missed every deep ball. Every deep ball.
Did he blame receivers?
Huh? No, I don't know. I don't think he blamed anyone. It was just like 3 yards too far. One guy threw his hand up because he was too far to the right, and
wow,
I was like, dude, you didn't hit one deep ball. Yeah, I don't know. So I'm trying to put myself in the minds of a scout. Like, okay, how would I evaluate that? Like, does he have good arm strength? Does he not have good touch? I don't know what is going on here. How come we can't hit a receiver?
I'm just wondering, in a scenario like that, under those circumstances, what exactly are you looking for? What's going to change your mind there in that kind of controlled environment, as opposed to the game and the film that you've seen this guy play, even the practices you've gone to? a dude standing like a statue, throwing the ball 75 yards unimpeded and dropping it right where it belongs. Is that just as impressive as a 25-yard pass with a pass rush coming after you, checking down and figuring out who it belongs to, still making the play? I mean, that's a big difference.
Yeah. I don't know. I'd like to see like how hard quarterbacks can throw, so you can see true arm strength.
Yeah, arm strength.
Like, they throw 80 miles an hour, 72 miles an hour, or whatever.
See, I lucked out back in 2007, was able to go to the draft, and that was the year that Adrian Peterson came out. And I remember Kevin Kolb also came out that day in that same draft. But I went to that combine, and you get a chance to see how things go, and you get to see it kind of sort of live. They kind of kept the media out of there, but there was times you got a chance to check out a little bit. And the media room, you just get the sense of how important it is to a lot of these players. And in fact, it was the year that Marcus Thomas had come out. He was a Florida Gator guy, an All-American, and then he ended up getting kicked off the team for smoking weed, and then he broke Urban Meyer's curfew, so he was thrown off permanently. And he was supposed to allegedly been a first rounder. He dropped to the 4th round because of that. It was just crazy over that. And he ended up going there, and he did all right as an NFL player, but he had some concussions. He ended up going to the Giants, and then he went to Canada for a little bit, tore his bicep, and now he got somewhat of a settlement from the NFL as well because of the concussion. So he's living fairly well right now. But I mean, just going to the combine and seeing the actual pressure and just going through the experience, because I went with him to Adidas, because I think all the major shoe companies have their things up there, for that is probably sign deals or whatever. And we went to Adidas, the hotel where Adidas was, man, like every brand of Adidas you ever seen was in there. They talked to him about the marketing part of it, and they said pretty much to him what they said to others as well. So the whole experience, but watching these players and seeing them go through, the drills and all that, even though you've watched video of these guys, that's what bothers me more than anything, because dudes drop even though the video says that they can do the job. They screw up at the combine, and then they don't, that's it.
Yeah. I don't know. We mentioned it before. I think GMs and scouts, sometimes they're too smart for their own good, and they want to be the genius. They want to be the one to say, "Oh, I discovered this guy when nobody else knew anything about him," or I knew he was going to be a bust, and let someone else draft him, and they end up being wrong.
Yep, and they're wrong a lot more than they're right when it comes down to getting that great player, because I think every player they take, when they decide to take a player, they believe is a guy that's definitely going to have a very good opportunity, even in the 7th round, to make this team. And I think I spoke to you off the air just last week with Sam Barrington, same thing. And I remember him going to the draft, the combine, and ran the worst 40 out of all the linebackers. And I was like, man. And then he had his pro day, and I think it's still on YouTube. You can check out Sam Barrington's pro day. It was a lot better. And then he still was the second of 2 7th round picks for the Green Bay Packers. And when all of the hoopla started up and going through mini camps and all that and OTAs, they were talking about how they had him on a list of players that are going to get cut. He was on the list all the time. When they started playing preseason games, the crowd started liking him, but you just didn't know what you're going to get. And the media guys were still saying, man, we like Sam Barrington, but we don't think he's going to make this team. And he eventually made the team in the final cuts. And then he also got an opportunity to start later on in the season. In his rookie season, they kind of shut him down because he had an injury, and they were able to sign somebody, a veteran, kind of to fill in for the playoffs. But in his second year, he started showing up and started looking better. And then it came down, I think his 3rd year, they was handing him the keys to the defense. I think he got hurt against the Chicago Bears, his ankle, like the 3rd game of the season. And it pretty much ended his career. That was it. They cut him the next season. He went there, I think, Buffalo and Kansas City, and called it a career. Now he's having a hell of a successful life, at his company down in here in Florida. But I mean, just to see the process of this NFL draft and how it goes, and how this guy was the second of 2 7th round picks, shouldn't have made the team. And incidentally, though, there was a time when Blake Martinez came out of Stanford. They had Sam, and how they have the players come announce the player. He made the announcement for his freaking replacement. We didn't think it was going to be his replacement. That freaking would end up being his replacement. Crazy, man.
It is crazy. But Speaking of crazy, we gotta talk Caitlin Clark. She did it.
Oh, yeah. You know, there's so many layers to this because I went on the internet. I'm hearing people saying, see, they're trying to push her ahead, this and that. Remember, there's still this one girl, they brought some other woman up who had numbers a little bit higher than hers at the time.
Lynette
See,
Woodard. I
yeah,
couldn't remember her
yes.
name.
I'm like,
but she
always the
passed
next
her up
thing.
last week. Yeah, she passed her up last week.
Yeah, and it's always the next thing. You know what I mean? Like, bro, let this chick just do it. Because guess what? If she was a black chick, you wouldn't be finding the next person who she was up against. Stop it. We know. And besides, I know the person who put up that post. I know how he thinks. That's how he gets down. It sucks that it's like that, but that's how he gets down. If it was a black chick, he would have had nothing to say but props and this and that or the other. But when it was Caitlin Clark,
here's the thing. Like, if you've been watching our show or listening on Spotify, we've been on Caitlin Clark for a long time, even before we even knew she was approaching the record.
Yeah, for real.
So it's not new to us. We know. I've been saying for a long time, I'm addicted to her highlights. However, I saw today someone said she is the most prolific scorer in college basketball history. I can't agree with that. Pistol Pete averaged 44 a game with no 3-point line. And he did it in 3 years. 3 years. It took Caitlin Clark a 3-point line and 4 years to pass him up. So I cannot agree with that. And this person, it was on ESPN, it was a lady, she was like, I know Pistol Pete averaged 44. Well, that should have been the end of the statement right there. Exactly, man. There is no but. And she also mentioned without a 3-point line, okay, there you go. Stop right there. That's the end of it. There's no but.
What we're living in.
There's no but. I love Caitlin Clark. I'm addicted to her highlights. But Pistol Pete was more prolific. You give him a 3-point line, nobody's coming close to that record. You give him another year, nobody's coming to that close to that record.
I hate comparing men's and women's sports. The same sport, you just can't do it.
But it's not comparing them. It's talking about who's more prolific.
I know more prolific, but you're prolific against women because the competition isn't as stiff. If you're prolific against men, that means you're playing against the best of those men that you're playing against. And we know the difference between the two.
I don't know if I agree with that.
You don't think so? Bro, if you look at women's basketball, for instance, you can kind of look at the top 5.
And we're talking WNBA and WNBA. I mean, WNBA. Yes. I think women's college basketball is probably better than men's basketball. No, you're talking about all the one and dones, people skipping college, going either to the G League or another pro league or whatever. Men's college basketball is not what it used to be.
You know what? Men's college basketball, under what you're saying now, probably doesn't even have to be as good as it used to be. And we're still talking about high school players beating the WNBA champs. They're not even getting to college yet. And we're still talking about them having an opportunity to beat the WNBA champs. So let alone the college players who eventually become grown men as they're playing.
I'm not saying he doesn't have any competition. You can't say she doesn't have any competition.
Oh, no. I'm saying she has competition for women. The competition just isn't the same as it would be with men. I mean, a team like Chicago State, which was a perennial cellar dweller for like the past 7-8 years, would beat Iowa, would beat the best college female basketball team right now.
Yeah, but that's not what we're talking about, though.
No, we're talking about the talent level. The talent. That's what we're talking about.
Yeah, but you're comparing men. You're comparing men to women. It may as well be two different sports.
You know what? Bring one of those guys who wants to identify as a woman to the college basketball ring.
Come on, man.
And see how that goes.
Bro. No. I don't see it the way you do. I don't.
All right,
you can't expect the women's league to be as good as the men's league.
No,
I just can't. Exactly, I don't. And I apologize if that rubs people the wrong way. That's just a fact.
A fact. Come on. If they rub the wrong way, they can take it somewhere else. But the point is that if they're that, it's harder to come by those records as a men's player than it is with a women's player. But
I'm also saying you can't hold that against her.
Oh, no. I'm not holding it against them. I'm just saying what it is. I mean, I'm not going to hold it against her because she's still going to be the greatest woman.
If you're asking me, would I rather watch Pistol Pete or Caitlin Clark? Well, I'm going to go Pistol Pete.
No question.
I'm just saying.
It's even when we bring it to boxing. You hear Clarissa Shields saying they start talking about she's the best in the belt era, and they act like they include men too. And I'm like, come on, man. Yeah. Among women, she's dominant, and she's still going to be dominant until someone proves otherwise. But when they keep on saying, they just have to specifically say the best in the 4-belt era or whatever they're saying to kind of hype it up what she's doing, which they should do for women. They're including the men as if they have to go through the same thing as men in terms of the boxing game goes. First of all, you got 2-minute rounds. You're still fighting the way novices fought in the amateurs and still are. I mean, it's not taking anything away from them. They're willing to fight more. It's just that they won't add the rules to let them fight 3-minute rounds. That so far, Clarissa Shields said she would fight 3-minute rounds. But I'm just saying the differences between what the men do and what the women do is so different. It's not a different sport in that case. It's just that it's a harder road for the men to do what they do than for women to do what they do. We're not gonna. We can agree to disagree on that one, but hey, since we stick with basketball right now,
but let's put Caitlin Clark on the men's team.
Okay.
If they don't guard her, she's still gonna knock down shots from the logo.
I know. Put Wemby out there and see if she should get a shot up. Wemby gonna play volleyball. Her man, we see him doing what the NBA dudes.
Oh, shit, he does it to NBA guys.
He can't block to the game. He blocks to the game with that crap.
But speaking of the NBA, the hell is wrong with the Golden State Warriors?
Bro, that beating they had.
Did you talk about embarrassing?
Embarrassing. And they showing pictures of Clay on the freaking bench like he wants to cry.
He should cry. That was pathetic. They got taken out back. At the half, the game was over.
It was over.
Starters didn't even get in the game. In the second half, I was watching that game, and Steph was broke. He was putting up bricks.
Oh, he was
shooting air ball.
He won for 7 at one point.
I'm like, oh my gosh, if he's gonna shoot like this, they're gonna lose by 30. I was wrong. They lost by 50.
Almost doubled it up, man.
Man, they were doubled up at the half. One score. I saw it was. I had changed it. I started watching something else. I don't even remember. But I saw the score was 82-38.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
Nothing. And I remember when Steph kept missing those shots, all of a sudden he tried to go in, try to get to the rim. Bro, Tatum was on him. He couldn't get him off. He wasn't allowing him to get in, man. And he just had to bounce back. Yeah,
Celtics didn't even have Porzingis.
No, they didn't have Porzingis. He missed the freaking shot. Tatum was.
They might have lost by 70 if Porzingis was in there.
Oh, maybe, man. It's just insane how. And I knew Boston was going to win the game, and I said it before. Like, y'all know Boston should win this game. It's not even worth watching. But let's watch this in Boston, bro. Getting that kind of a flop of a freaking game. And you know what? Right. This year, there's been quite a few of those kinds of games. 30 and 40-point losses, and 50-point losses.
And then I saw someone talking about Jaylen Brown said, they beat us on our court, so this game was personal.
Well, Jaylen
Brown played like it was personal, and the Warriors played like it was a Sunday afternoon, like the game didn't matter.
For real,
and the outcome showed. And Warriors got
had a hell of a game to start with.
If the Warriors want to make a move and move out of the 10th spot, they have to take every game serious. And you would think you should know Celtics got a target on you.
Yeah. And well, we saw Chris Paul back yesterday. So I mean, seriously, so nothing changed. Things got worse. Come on. I mean, and then what about LBJ's 40 grand? We got to talk about it in a losing cause. So at least put that part in there. He lost, but he got his little left-handed, a finger roll that he got in there.
Yeah, AD says
he had a chance to just dunk it and make it a poster for that freaking 40,000 points.
AD said that he has to stop breaking records because they always lose whenever he does.
Well, yeah, I think Stephen A mentioned that too.
Maybe up your effort and win a couple.
I mean, yeah, they talked about it. I think, like I said, Stephen A mentioned it a bit too. He talked about even the emotional part of when Kobe Bryant passed away and they did the win right after that. And, they played right after that. They didn't win. I mean, they had that big ceremony there. And everybody was pretty much emotionally drained.
Yeah.
And they lost that game.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember thinking, man, I hope somebody goes for like 60 or 70 tonight, like just to honor Kobe.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was
Yeah.
thinking. I was like, man, but it
And
started
I
looking
don't I
bad.
don't think anybody came close. I remember watching a video, a kid in high school, he had 81 points. He was at the free throw line where he had 80. He made the first one and missed the second one on purpose. And they said he did it to honor Kobe. I'm like, bullshit. Kobe would have said, man, go for 82, kid. That's not honoring
That's
Kobe.
true.
I don't believe that. Kobe would have said, man, go for 82, kid. Don't honor me. Honor yourself.
You know what? It reminds me of what Chris Paul did for his grandfather, man, when his grandfather passed and he put those numbers up and he missed that free throw on purpose because of his grandfather's age. Man, that was, back in high school before he even went to Wake Forest. So, yeah, man. And it made national news before everybody knew who Chris Paul was. But, yeah, man. But Kobe, yeah, I think he would have said, yo, man, hell with that, man. You better go up and get that 82, man.
Right. You never miss on purpose.
Kobe was a dog like that.
Yep.
But hell, we were talking about basketball. Let's pivot a little bit. Boxing. It's official now. Canelo's going to take on Munguia. Now, the respect that I had for Canelo is kind of laying low, man. I never thought he would be the guy that would deliberately not fight another fighter. And he said he didn't fight Mexicans. Well, isn't Benavidez Mexican and like Guatemalan or something? He's not completely Mexican, but he does have Mexican in him. Bro, there's no excuse, man. That's in jest. There's no excuse here not to fight him. You're going to fight Munguia. It's going to be a tough fight for a little while, but Munguia is going to get beat because he gets hit too often. I think Benavidez was the fight to make, man, especially on Cinco de Mayo. That's supposed to be your day.
Yeah, I didn't hear that it was official. I mean, Munguia is a decent fighter, but
gets hit too much.
Yeah,
he did one against John Ryder, got him out of there.
Yeah, I'm just thinking, could he be a buzzsaw? For Canelo. He doesn't want a tough fight. He probably has one foot out the door. He's looking to retire probably soon. Hey, I hope it's a buzzsaw. I hope Munguia beats the shit out of his punk.
You know what?
Ass.
I'm hearing people saying that, well, Canelo's the pound for pound best right now, or he's on the list. He's a legend, going to the Hall of Fame. He's in the top echelon of the pound for pound rankings right now, and he has the belts and he has his legacy in place, and he's going to the Hall of Fame. We all know in the first ballot, they say he should be able to pick and choose who he wants right now. Bro, if you're in that position to pick and choose who you want, the John Ryder fight was that fight. You wanted to do it in front of your people. You got a chance to do it. People were able to come in and not have to pay a whole bunch of money.
When he's holding the whole weight division hostage.
That's what he's doing. But fight freaking Benavidez, man. We now all want that fight. People know who Benavidez is now. Before it was he has nothing to bring to the table. No, he has that money you wanted. He has that to bring to the table now.
Yeah, see, and I said this before. Canelo tells people, who have you fought? Who have you beat to earn a fight with me? Let's ask that question of Jamie Munguia. Who has he beaten? Who did he fight to earn this fight?
Canelo just I can say straight by, but he gave him a tougher fight than he probably should have gotten.
Man, because I don't know, and there's so many delusional people out there who still DICK ride Canelo like he's a badass.
Yeah,
he's not a badass. He's not a badass. Nope.
The first time I've been disappointed in Canelo, man. I didn't think that time would come. Because this dude, for me at least, watching him all these years, he has that passion, man, or had it to fight. I mean, people want to talk this crap about the Triple G fight. This dude went to hell with Triple G twice. That third fight don't really count because he was old. But, man, those first two fights, man, those was straight lit fights, and Canelo didn't take a backward step. That dude came to fight. And it just kind of like the next guy. Those are his defining fights now after all these years. What are his defining fight? That's his defining fight against Triple G. All of these other guys out there, it could have been Benavidez being another defining fight. And so far, it's not happening, and I don't believe it's going to happen. We're going to go out there making this like an Aaron Pryor, Sugar Ray Leonard deal, the fight that never happened, or Riddick Bowe and Lennox Lewis just never happened. It's coexisting and not happening.
Yeah, but Pryor and Leonard were never really in the same division.
Yeah, but he was going to move up because he cleaned out his own division.
What?
Yeah.
No, what did
he cleaned out his division 140, and he was willing to move up the way you would normally do it. The way moved up to fight him, and he took care of him. And the way that
I'm saying They are actually in the same division. Benavidez was or
Yeah,
is his mandatory. Yeah. And they're not forcing that fight. They should be stripping his punk ass.
I don't know, man. Bro, and I hate to ever say that I don't have respect for a fighter because I have respect for a fighter, but you can lose a bit of respect based on what had happened.
Man, speak your mind, Trav. Don't hold back. Just say it, man.
No, I'm not gonna disrespect.
He's a punk.
This dude's done enough. I think he's done enough to be a Hall of Famer.
So retire then.
Is his defining fight really Mayweather, man? A fight he lost, or freaking Bivol, another fight he lost? I mean, those are huge fights. Those are big fights against, well, not Bivol being a big time dude, but Bivol became a name by beating him the way he did.
How many times have you known big time fighters to lose and not go for a rematch?
Yeah, nah, I haven't seen that before.
Even Tyson, after getting knocked out by Holyfield, he got the rematch. Yeah, he went crazy in the rematch, but he got the rematch.
Yeah, he wanted the rematch.
Man, that tells you everything that you need to know about Canelo. He's telling you who he is. Believe him.
Man, you know what? We have what we have now with this fight coming up in May, and it's not the fight I wanted to see. And I don't want to say I don't want to watch that fight, but bro, I'm not watching that fight, man. And it's going to be a fire fight too. Joe, that's my protest for not fighting Benavidez. I'm not going to watch this, man. If you get past Munguia, you got to fight Benavidez in September. That's like your last out.
We'll see, man. We'll see.
And if it's a tough fight with Munguia, he's damn sure ain't fighting Benavidez in the next fight.
That's probably why he's fighting Munguia. Let me test myself, see how much I have left, see what happens with Munguia.
Dude, I started questioning things after the John Ryder fight, man. What are you talking about here? So then, you couldn't get rid of Charles. Well, Charles didn't come to fight to get knocked out. But, man, and then after the Charlo fight, man, I just love this fucking thing. You got hyped up like he really wanted to get back in there against somebody, and this is what we're getting. God, man. But I mean, did you see the fight this past weekend with Ray Ford?
No.
And the Uzbekistan guy? Bruh, it was a hell of a damn fight. I was surprised. He's from Shakur's camp, and he has like 7 knockouts. But my man came in when he needed it. He spit down and threw some damn jammies and got this thing out in 7 seconds left in the last round behind them both 2 scorecards. He would have lost a split decision. My man got him out of there. That was a hell of a damn fight. Featherweight champ, WBC, so WBA, so I can dig that. But yeah, man. Anything else basketball-wise on here? Since we definitely down in the basketball season. The Knicks got hurt again.
Philly, they just beat somebody they should not have beaten. Oh, Dallas. It was Dallas.
Yeah.
Everybody talking Dallas. They could be dangerous in the playoffs.
And that was in Dallas.
It happens. It happens in the regular season, but you can't let Philly come into town and bust your ass.
That's what I'm saying. And you try to make a case, and they're still talking about the way Irish still trying to blend in with the team. He's trying to. He's been there for a while now. What's going on? Luka's gonna be Luka, man. But God, he had a triple-double and they still lost at home. That's probably why Mark Cuban bounced on him, man.
The problem was defense, because I saw they were down like 16 with 7 minutes to go. They roared back, tried to make it close, but they couldn't complete the comeback.
Well, that's the truth. They lost at home, and they're still one of those teams. You look at their roster, you think that it should be a lot better than what it is, but you look at their record, it's like, bro, this team is pretty mediocre based on the talent. The Knicks, Brunson goes down yesterday, luckily with a knee contusion as it stands right now.
Yeah,
he went down, man. I thought it was something serious. I'm like, you serious? Now we got 4 of our key players out this season so far, and they went from having the best January 14-2, starting on February terrible, like a 4-game losing streak, get a couple of sprinkled in wins, and then come from behind to beat the Cavs. And then you have Brunson, the best player we had in years since Carmelo, go down.
Yeah, good thing he escaped serious injury, man.
Yeah, man.
You hate to see shit like that happen.
Bro, and man, but you know what? Dante DiVincenzo, man, give that dude props. And I said it, I think every roster in the NBA has a player who can drop 30 points on a freaking given night if they have the role to do so. Dante DiVincenzo has done that a couple of times in the NBA this year. He dropped a 36-point earlier this season. He dropped, I think, another over 20 points yesterday. Dude, he took over the score. I think 26 points. So, yeah, man, I think anybody in the NBA, when it's on them to do it, they can do it. That's how high the talent level is in the NBA.
Yeah, I wouldn't say anybody. I'd say a lot of guys. How about a lot?
Well, you know what? Let me say a lot of guys, but I'm still Draymond Green. You're not going to ask him to do that at any time. You're going to ask Draymond to drop 36 because he's not that kind of dude. But I mean,
hey, Rudy Gobert, we need 30 out of you tonight.
Well, he'll get some defense, right? 30 rebounds.
If we miss a lot of shots, I get a lot of putbacks. Maybe it just ain't gonna happen.
Yeah, I mean, you just look at the guy. I mean, well, I'm not even going to use Tyler Hero as an example because the guy can score in anyways. You know, he does that as a starter. He did it off the bench. He can score. He just has to stay healthy and consistent, and he has. In fact, I think he's kind of turning into the quasi leader of that team, as Jimmy Butler hasn't been doing a whole lot this season so far.
Yeah, I haven't really kept up with the Heat. I'm not sure what's going on with them.
Okay, but the way things are going, other than injuries,
other than Emu Jimmy showing up in that music video.
Jimmy, man, come on now. You have a family, bro, and they're gonna be able to play this thing on the internet or see pictures on the internet one day. Come on, man, stop. But anyways, man, I don't know what else is going down. The NFL, well, Russell Wilson cut from the Denver Broncos, $85 million in dead money on the books for the Broncos. They got to go looking for a quarterback. Well, that's one of those teams that may need a quarterback. Or is that one of those draft picks they give up while getting rid of Russell Wilson, but getting Russell Wilson?
Yeah, I was just thinking, I don't know what pick they have.
That's what I'm saying.
They may not have a first rounder.
I'm about to say, man, I looked at all that Herschel Walker 2.0 nonsense they did to get old Russell Wilson with all those other plays they had, like 11 different quarterbacks since Peyton Manning, including Paxton Lynch, who I wonder why the hell they take him to begin with. I mean, come on. Whew, what a mess. And, Lat McConkey, another player who did really well at the combine. And I've been on that dude for years now, several years. Before we did this show, period, Lat McConkey's been one of those players. And they talked about him being a slot receiver or some situational guy. Nah, he's a legitimate wide receiver. Now you see him running a 4.39 or 4.38. Bruh, he has the goods. He's absolutely fearless.
Did he run that fast? I didn't see. I saw.
Yeah, I think it was a 4.38, 4.39. The dude, and we know about his catching ability. He doesn't give a damn who you are. He's catching it. You know what I mean? He's going for it at least. And he reminds me a little bit of that Ryan Shoop that played for Texas A&M when Johnny Manziel was there. That dude I wanted to see play so bad, man. He ran like a 4.33. And I'm like, yo, bro, this dude's going to be insane. Then he quit football because of concussions.
Damn.
I'm like, bro. I mean, I'm glad he did because I don't want to see him get scrambled out there. Yeah, right. But Lat McConkey, man, that's definitely somebody I'm going to be, somebody else for me to look forward to as the NFL draft comes. And hell, he ends up being a Jet. That's even better. Shoot. He's gonna be a second or third round.
Bears need to make some type of trade because they don't have a second round pick. They need a second round pick. I mean, I know they have 2 in the top 10, but there's this draft is pretty deep, it seems, as far as offensive weapons. And they need offensive weapons.
Yeah,
so they need another pick.
Wide receivers though. They got wide receivers galore running 4.3s like consistently. The way they've been running these 40s now in the past couple of years, man, it's absolutely mind-boggling. It's like anyone who gets up, they're not even getting enthusiastic anymore. Dude's running a 4.35. They're like, oh, he ran a 4.35. Waiting for the next guy now. What the hell?
Right.
Years ago, dudes was down in the table. You saw what he just did? Now it's not even like that. Now dudes get 4.21. Oh, he just broke the record. All right, that's nice. He did a 4.25 before though, and then now 4.21. What the hell? But yeah, but I think Worthy's going to legitimately do something in the NFL. I don't think he's going to be a John Ross, even though he had the measurables. He came out of Washington. No, I think that playing at Texas had something to do with it. A California kid going to Texas having that speed, and that surprised me because a Texas player nobody had that speed from the state of Texas. That's a fast state. California's fast too. I always say finesse. I guess that means speed too.
Oh, speaking of side by side. I talked about on Thursday that Tom Brady beat his 40 time recently from His original 40 time at the combine. I saw the video of it side by side. He beat himself by like a half step. I don't remember the time, but I was like, how the hell is that even freaking possible?
He didn't take it serious back then. He was like, man, I'm not gonna get
46 now,
drafted anyway.
47?
I think it was 4'5", 4'7", somewhere around there. I mean, 5'7".
He probably has the same guy LeBron has.
Damn, now we're gonna get it. You know what? Hey, bro, Chael Sonnen ain't backing down, and no one else corrected him about it, especially LeBron people.
I don't hear no
behind the scenes. Keep talking, man. Keep talking. See what happens.
I haven't heard of any lawsuits, no slander, libel, none.
Bro, this thing is gonna get legs, man. I think this conversation is gonna get some legs. You know, it's not just Jason Whitlock hating. You have other people now just kind of setting it up now, and now it's going to just be a matter of time because no one's too big to get found out. We knew that in the banking industry, no one was too big to fail. Now we know that no one's too big to be found out, regardless if they're a billionaire in the top or the face of the NBA or not. This thing is going to get legs. It's going to move forward. It's going to cause a little bit of turmoil, I think, sometime soon.
Again, I hope he's not. I hope he hasn't.
I hope he's not. You know what?
But if he is, I hope they bust his ass.
Oh, no, if he is, bro. Anybody who's doing it and getting all of those accolades, bro, get at him. The other dudes who are doing it obscurely and still not any good, even with the juice, who cares about them? You know what I'm saying? Go ahead and do it. But yeah, man, that would be a letdown. That would be a huge letdown. That would be mega freaking news if LeBron is popped dirty. And there'll be every excuse in the book. His freaking fans make every excuse in the book.
I say that's crazy, but when you look at everything, he doesn't seem to have lost a step. He's not slower. He's not jumping not as high as he used to.
He doesn't dunk as much.
It wouldn't be crazy. It'd be like, yeah, we kind of figured.
Yeah, I mean, but the feigned outrage, though, from people who kind of had an inkling, but they kind of wiped it out of their mind because they're still such a fan. And if it does come out and some headline breaking news, LeBron James fails test, bro, these guys will break their necks to tell you why it didn't happen, why it's not true, how it didn't happen. You know, like the Mike Tyson fans. Man, he really knocked out Buster Douglas. He was down for 15 seconds. Shut the hell up. He got eaten up alive in his prime the whole nine. You know, you just hear it over and over. And I think that's the same thing we're going to have with LeBron James. And I'm hoping not because, you know, regardless of what he says in the outside, as far as his basketball game and what he means to the game of basketball, I'm more interested in that. And because he's leaving this sport. I mean, not that he's leaving it, but when he leaves this sport, you got these other young dudes that's going to be taking his spot. I mean, these young guys like Jason Tatum and Devin Booker, by the way, out for about 7 days, I guess, because of the ankle injury. But
yeah,
guys
that's
like
too bad.
he's on track.
Son's got problems staying healthy. But something I forgot when we were talking about Caitlin Clark. I think if anybody's going to break her record, it's going to be Juju Watkins. Because I don't recall Caitlin Clark being this good as a freshman. Juju Watkins is dropping 42, 38.
Yeah,
40.
that's true.
So she's on at a faster pace, I do believe, than Caitlin Clark was.
And you know what? And come on now. They're going, if she's going to be that good with any consistency, they're going to make sure she gets some type of a record just because of who has it. That's my opinion, because that's just how the game has been running so far. And on top of that, you know, WNBA players or people who have aspirations for the WNBA, they stay for their entire tenure. You know what I mean? They're for a whole 4 years, most of them, you know, the entire 4 years. So she can continue dropping the 40s and all that for the next 3 years after this freshman year and get there. Now, all these in-state, all these in-conference tournaments are starting. The NCAA, with just
March
less than 2 weeks
around
away
the corner.
Sunday.
Yeah, March Madness around the corner.
Yeah, right around the corner, man. The A-Sun is starting their games, I think, to Wednesday, I think, the A-Sun. Oh, no, I think it's this Sunday. It might be Wednesday. I got to check and see. But anyway, that's Jacksonville University and University of North Florida and Stetson and all those teams, you know, things like that. Florida Gulf Coast, who made their little run years ago. So, yeah, man, they started it up, man. So I'm hoping if it's going to have the same buzz that it's had for years, because the teams just aren't overall as good anymore. Gonzaga's not even a story anymore like it used to be. You know what I mean? They're like going to number 17 and dropping them. But
yeah, it's like, are they going to be able to get it done this year? Finally.
You know what? Without the pressure, they might do something. And with everybody else losing players every freaking year, they have their own little West Coast thing going on, that little triumvirate, I call it every year, between them, St. Mary, and San Francisco. Either one of those three are going to win the conference. It's just that Gonzaga's been the one winning it for the past, 10 years or more. But anyways, man, and I think Loyola's in it too. But yeah, the tournament's starting up, so there'll be some talk about that, man. The Big Ten playing some decent. Oh man, Michigan. What the hell happened there? Juwan Howard's gonna get fired. That's like 9-21.
Oh, it just dawned on me. The Thursday when March Madness starts that week, we're gonna have to do our podcast on Wednesday because I'm not gonna be available Thursday.
Oh well, the problem here is I won't be in the country, man.
Oh, so no shows that week,
bro. We're trying to work something out, man, because it's gonna be such a huge time difference. It'll take 11 hours by then, since daylight savings time is this Sunday, so it'll be an 11-hour difference. But we'll try to figure something out, man. I'll get up a little early to do it if I get a Wi-Fi signal.
All right, we'll discuss offline then.
Yeah. All right. So right now he's still biased. I'm Trav, and the Sports Bag Bros podcast is going to shut it down after a nice week of sports, including the NBA and the NFL Combine, which will lead to the NFL Draft in April. So until next time, which will be this Thursday, things will happen in between time. We might touch on things we didn't touch on today. He's biased once again. I'm Trav, and deuces.